15 seconds, 10 seconds, 5 seconds. Last week, the center hiked retail petroleum product prices after a gap of 4 years. Stop. This was expected since the government had been warning about high crude prices and how public sector oil marketing companies had been bleeding heavily due to under recoveries. Stop. It was also expected that this would happen after the results of the 5 assembly elections. Stop. But the Prime Minister's appeal for austerity due to the drain on foreign exchange, the sharp depreciation of the rupee in recent months, and the April's inflation prints point to a much deeper problem that India could have addressed decades earlier. The country's inadequate strategic petroleum and gas reserves. Stop. India did build out a strategic petroleum reserve of about 36.7 million in the early 2000s. Stop. But today, this covers about 7 days of consumption demand at 5.5 million barrels per day. Stop. But over the years, India has emerged as the world's third largest automobile market after the US and China, and a comparison with those nations reveals the scale of India's vulnerability. Stop. While the US built its SRPs in the aftermath of the 1973 oil shock, which at 714 million barrels is 18 times larger than India's China's roughly 900 million barrels is even larger. Stop. The US has about 400 million barrels currently in its reserve system, providing it with roughly 20 days of consumption. Stop. The country has emerged as the world's largest oil producer in the past 10 years with an output of about 13 MBDP and a commercial system wide inventory pushing it above the 90 days mark recommended by the International Energy Agency for reserves. Stop. Para. The Delhi High Court has held that courts cannot supply a deeming fiction absent from tender conditions while examining eligibility disputes in public contracts. Stop. A division bench clarified that when the tender does not contain any deeming provision by which a suspended or abandoned work would be treated as a completed work merely because. Stop. In a case involving a drunken altercation between two friends over liquor payment, the Delhi High Court has converted murder conviction into culpable homicide not amounting to murder, holding that the incident occurred in the heat of passion without premeditation. Stop. A division bench held that the case would fall under Section 304, Part 2nd IPC, and the Delhi High Court on Friday permitted wrestler to participate in the selection trials for the 2026 Asian Games, which are scheduled for May 30 and 31. In doing so, the court observed that Wrestling Federation of India's selection policy was clearly exclusionary in nature, as it does not give any discretion to consider iconic players like Fogart in view, taken on account of her maternity leave, as a woman cannot be prejudiced for taking maternity leave. Over.